with you today, and the best way to get you to understand and relate to what we're dealing with, bullying. Every culture, every age, every country, every government, everybody in our known universe pretty much knows what bullying is, knows it's wrong. We still have it. And we're trying to set an example to our younger generations who we want to be our leaders down the road. The ones we're hoping who will help spend correctly the $59.3 million on underground infrastructure, the $39 million is it? This just announced to help heal those not healing from COVID. The much more amount of money just in the Victoria area alone. However, we didn't put a whole lot of money towards getting a building built within a 5-year time span. 5 years to build a homeless building. That's unacceptable for us as people who have not a right to speak, but a duty as Victorians and Canadians to speak up for those who are tired, who are worn down, who have to get up daily and go and find another tent because the brand new one they just unpacked last night was just discarded. Those people are worn down to the degree they've been not allowed in some places where their services essentially set up for them because they're banned from saying no, which is a right of ours, apparently. Not in my house, but, some places. So, you gotta ask yourself, what is it we want our youth to learn from us? As hopeful grandparents one day, as parents, I think we did a pretty good job. Our son's in the military. He took it a little bit further than we had hoped he would, but he's willing to stand up against bullies. Now, if we don't start somewhere, what are we gonna look like in 15 years? Not even 15 years, because that's when the new generation, like the generation who got drunk, rode down Pandora and shot out the windows above the homeless community of the ministry building. They don't even respect a building of government. Much like the bylaw didn't respect police officers when they said, give Millie back her identification, her house keys, her medication, and her money when I set up the hospital tents in Topaz. They kept those things, which was illegal. You cannot strip somebody of their human right as a Canadian. And beyond that, even worse, I'm Inuit. So, that would really tick my grandmother off, so I'm glad she's not here in some ways to see this, because that little old lady went to residential school. Her daughter went to residential school. I am one of the fortunate ones who was lucky enough to come into this world at a time when I was able to receive an education. Many of my peers, whatever culture, didn't get that privilege. Those of us who have can step forward now and start speaking where we can. We can stand up on the small things. Not just in this case for the homeless community, but for anyone disadvantaged. In the nursing homes, even in government offices where there's minority discrimination. So we're dealing with this on a big level, but we can cut it right down. We can just say, for now, let's get the housing organized. Let's get them indoors so they can build up their confidence. Many of you notice now, Pandora's almost clear. That's because I'd like to thank some of my friends here for standing up beside me when nobody else would in the agencies and come down there, on the exception of volunteers, would come down there and help. But that community took over their own issues and began fighting back for themselves. They cleaned up their own yards, little areas. They made sure their tents were coming down. They were really working hard. You know what they got for it? They got kicked out into the parks, where guess what? There's nobody to save your life if you happen to overdose because maybe you like pot or a little speed. Doesn't matter, you're an addict. A lot of our friends were addicts before they got there. Yeah. Right? So there you're in a situation now where you're intentionally left somewhere where you could possibly die because there's nobody there with locks and training that can come in and save your life. We've been getting that to them as much as we can, but of course we all know the problems we're having with our current infrastructure. We can all pick up the ball. We don't have to wait to be asked or begged in this case. We need help. We need your help. We need your voice more than anything. We need your ability and your duty to stand up. Like my son is willing to go and fight for another country because that's his duty. My duty is here to stand up for First Nations people who incidentally a rise in discrimination and hate crimes went up 400% against First Nation people during the COVID pandemic. 39% of those are First Nations that are homeless. That's a huge number. That's just shy of 50% whose items are discarded. And as fast as we can put brand new tents out there or community donated tents from so many of you and blankets, they can discard them and throw them away. That's unacceptable. I said, hey, I'll take the sleeping bags, I'll wash them. Well, my husband will, but anyway, that's besides the point. We'll clean them. We've had volunteers willing to do that. One of our good friends who isn't here today, Donna, she was tirelessly out doing laundry. You know what? The budget for the laundry program, nil. No money. No money in it for those people. The closest laundromat to them is what by Hillside and Quadra and also out on Burnside. How do you get out there with, what, 4 bags and now wet, dirty bags? Because the sprinklers were left on in the summertime. Not because it rained, but because the sprinklers from the city, when I begged them to turn them off between 4 and 6 and turn them on again, maybe at 8 o'clock in the morning or 7:30, not a chance. So we were still replacing wet bags as much as we could. You know, even one of the organizations who were supposed to help us with that refused us. It all went to Ukraine in shipping containers. I got nothing against helping war-torn countries. Nothing at all. Heck, we got one. But the thing here is, we deserve to have these people taken care of because we want that. We are tax-paying citizens. Okay, well, I haven't for a couple of years. That's besides the point. We need that because this is how we're measuring us. Much like you do in high school or college or anywhere you go in life in the workplace. You measure by the speaker in the office. Who are you going to be? Are you going to be the one to stand up for that person and say, well, I don't know what you're talking about. It's always been great to me. Maybe it's something with you. Well, in this case, it's something with them. Because I have bent over backwards, really. I have listened to the lip service. I have been there with them. I have stood up against my own friends when I thought maybe there's just this little bit of hope we can keep working together. They have pushed this to the wall. This is our answer. I never came before the cameras like this before. And there was a reason for that. Because my credibility only came from what I promised. And I promised up to this date not to reveal who I was on the towpath street. And today I'm doing that. So when they took my purse, my keys, my identification, it was such a small inconvenience. But when they take my friend's purse, identification, and throw it away, they couldn't legally throw mine away, but they could take others, and then they could disregard what the police say when our authority, all of our authority figure apparently says, give that back. I don't know, I listen. I'm sure many of you do too. So what are we going to do now? Where are we at now? I'm not friends of the cops. Any of you who know me know that. But I can say this, on that day, they handed me a file number and said, go get them. And I didn't get yet. So human rights, here we're coming. Yeah. Get ready. Lots of paperwork. Yeah.